Apple hasn't had an April event ever, or it's been since 2010, actually. That was the only one on the record, but 2021, they might want to mix things up again. Let's begin. So I was confused, as many of you, because it's not every day we get a bunch of leakers and analysts all agreeing on the same thing. We were getting tons of reputable sources all expecting a March 23rd Apple event, and the shortest turnaround time we've ever seen from announcement to event has been 7 days, and currently we've got less than 6 days until March 23rd at 10 a.m., which is normally when their events would be, so most people right now are saying there likely isn't going to be a March event, and John Prosser is now filling us in on he thinks that April is actually going to be when Apple has another event where they announce the Mini LED, iPad Pro, and also Digitimes came in with a report just this morning suggesting that the Mini LED iPad Pro will not launch until April at the soonest. So I'm wondering if Digitimes was seeing all of these different analysts saying that it would be on the March 23rd event. Then once we didn't get our announcement, he was like, okay, I think this source is actually a tad believable. Yeah, I don't think the Mini LED iPad Pro is ready yet, which is a shame because it's been rumored for over a year now, and I don't know, I had really gotten my Apple March event vibes going internally, so I was just kind of pumped for another one of those weird looking abstract Apple invite images, and mentally I was all prepared for it. My bank account was basically prepared for it. I may or may not have pre-made a video announcing that the March event was official and may have not ended up releasing it, so I was very confused when we didn't get invites yesterday. But the important thing to remember here is that all of these things we're speculating on, all of these things we're basically guessing to the best of our ability, are really just based on Apple's previous behavior, but there's no actual law or actual guideline that Apple has to follow if they want to break their normal behavior, if they want to break their typical pattern. What I'm trying to say is, it is still technically completely possible that Apple could just at the last minute announce the March 23rd event like a day before it happens and just be like, okay, we're doing it tomorrow, see you then. It is more than likely going to be an all-online event, whether or not it happens next month or this month. And similar to the past, it's also possible something is happening on Apple's site and they're announcing something on March 23rd. They just might not have an event for it, because we have seen times in the past when leakers would say, oh, expect something that happened on this day, and then on that day something else that we weren't expecting gets announced. So Apple seems to be cracking down on a lot of the leak community. They seem to be pursuing legal action against certain people who release insider information to the press, and that's typically us. That's people that have sources and we hear leaks from all the time. Apple's not happy about that type of thing. I'm not exactly sure why. I mean, when it comes to iPhone leaks, I get it, because those can kind of damage present day sales. But when it comes to people getting excited about an Apple announcement, I really have no idea how that damages Apple. It's like free publicity for them, but it's also totally possible Apple has plans change internally, which is why I resist to use the term canceled or delayed or postponed, because if they haven't announced it, it can't really be canceled or postponed or delayed. The truth is they just haven't set a date yet. Maybe they had internally scheduled a date, but that does not make it an official one, because that's the type of leak or rumor that we can never prove or disprove. Like, we'll never really know if that was just false information being sent around or that was official internal information that Apple wanted to stick to. We'll never know. But the interesting foreshadow we got before the invites weren't actually sent out was Ming-Chi Kuo came forward going against leakers like Kang and Prosser when everyone was saying to expect new AirPods, and 52 Audio was tweeting these photos of these up-to-date AirPods that kind of look like AirPods 2 and AirPods Pro had a baby. Kuo decided to go against the grain and actually just said AirPods 3 will not be mass-produced until Q3. People were kind of doubtful of this at first because he was going against so many different reporters that were claiming otherwise, but the truth is, in my experience, I've noticed Kuo is actually pretty good at last-minute stuff. The one that sticks out in my mind is the launch leading up to the iPhone 11. Kuo was like the only person who came forward and said, by the way, reverse wireless charging, that's been scrapped. They're actually not going to do reverse wireless charging. And that was only a couple days before the iPhone 11 event took place, and yet everybody else was saying to expect reverse wireless charging on this year's iPhones, and you could charge your AirPods, maybe even charge your Apple Watch through the back of the iPhone, and it didn't happen. So Kuo, because he's a supply chain analysts, seems to have some pretty good sources when it comes to these kind of last-minute changes, and I think that could potentially be what Kuo ended up hearing, is he found out about this AirPods 3 delay, maybe something wrong with mass production, because according to 52 Audio, these things clearly look like they're in production now, but maybe there's some quality control problem, something we don't know about, and they had to postpone them. Similar thing could be going on with the mini LED iPad Pro, where mass production ran into a hiccup, and they thought it would be done by March, and it ends up not being done by March. But if you want to go based on Prosser's report of the April event actually happening, it does not happen very regularly. No, the last one was in 2010. Then it would most likely be falling on April 6th, April 13th, or April 20th, which are the Tuesdays that line up with April of 2021 this year, and that's typically when Apple has their events. I have a feeling that AirTags are ready. I haven't seen that many reports claiming that those have been delayed. I feel like they've been delayed internally so many times, referencing them way back in iOS 13 code, and they're still not out yet, so sounds like we're gonna have to wait a tad bit longer, which does bum me out, but I'm very curious to hear your guys' theories. It's a very odd time in Apple and the leak community right now, especially because it's still entirely possible there is an event on the 23rd. They're just deciding this year to be like very, very last minute with the announcements, kind of like Nintendo Direct. Or it's possible that invites could go out on the 23rd and the event is actually on the 30th. There's so many theories out there right now, and all of them are going to age horribly, and they're all somewhat plausible, which is why I think this whole discussion's kind of funny. But feel free to let me know what you think is going to happen. My personal guess is that we might end up seeing a few site refreshes next week for maybe new iPad Pro, new Apple Watch bands, or something really minor like that. I don't know, but feel free to let me know what you think down below. This is Rob Sheep here. I'll see you guys in the next one.